Good day, guys. Today I would like to discuss my experience about programming and software development. It could take a day if I discuss them all, so I just try to give you the highlights. It's like giving you the highlights of my career, but about my experience. So I've been learning and learning. That's the key, learning and coding for more than 17 years since college days. Okay, I studied BS Computer Engineering in Adams University. It was way back 1992. First started coding. I learned coding. Okay, what I learned in college is coding using those commands. Of course, those are the days where you create codes using those commands, and then Pascal, and then C Sharp. No, C++. Okay, then Visual Basic. This is where I learned all those stuff. Okay, and some basic SQL and HTML. Of course, the best way to learn programming is you can start using HTML and CSS and JavaScript, because there's a lot of technologies available that you can do. You can do that or learn that. So when I graduated, my first job is a diagnostic engineer. And as a diagnostic engineer, I was able to apply my programming skills. Okay, it's very helpful to me because if you can code and make automation, you can make your job a lot easier and faster, right, than doing it manually. So if you are an engineer without the coding skills, it will take you days to do your job. Unlike me, I can code, so I was able to really capitalize on my skills as a programmer. So my job is diagnostic engineer, but I do a lot of codings. Okay, so I automate a lot of our reports using Visual Basic. So in Office you can do Visual Basic. That's called Visual Basic for application. Basically, I did that mostly in Excel. In Excel, there's an IDE for Visual Basic, so you can automate a lot of data analysis and manipulation and reports in Excel. So I also, because I'm a programmer, I also created a website for our team. It's more just like a dynamic website where I use ASP, the old ASP technology, and yeah, it's more like a brochure and dynamic website where people can go and download reports. But it's just more a dynamic website. It's basic, so it's good to learn programming by creating a website. That's where I learned how to create website. Then, but most of my programming skill was on the data analysis. Because we generate a lot of data, we investigate, and we need to create reports, investigation reports, and we did some kind of analysis of data. So also I'm also a process engineer. So I handle a lot of diagnostic operators, maximum from 10 to 20 operators. So there are processes that can be helped by automation. Like, we have this diagnosis one, and diagnosis one, they analyze logs, they input data on the monitoring, they check the logs and decide based on the logs. So using Excel, you can actually load those logs on Excel, analyze those, and then generate a judgment. What's the next step? So the operator no longer need to do a manual analysis, but your code can do that for them. It's like an AI, artificial intelligence. They just input the serial number, and then that code can download the logs and extract information, then make decision what's the next process. Okay, like do a visual inspection or return to testing. Okay, that's what that I call it auto diagnosis can do. And then visual inspection, you have this visual. Okay, you have a lot of pictures you have the diagram, a lot of diagrams that you use. That, like example, there are a lot of printed models of printed circuit board where parts are located differently. Okay, so I've created this visual inspection guide where you input the parts of the PCBA or circuit board, like the transistor 1, transistor 2, input that and select the model, and it will show you where you can find it, and it can also show you a picture on the screen highlighting that part. So it will be a lot easier for the visual inspector to check, okay, to locate, okay. So that helps them a lot. I think that tool is really helpful for the visual inspection. And then for level 2 diagnostic, I'm able to use my skill analyzing data. This involves a lot of data analysis and analyzing logs and thousands of logs, okay, from machines. We download data from machines and we analyze those data a lot, okay. And then after that, I was promoted to I think failure analysis engineer, where I focus more on investigation and analysis of data for the new model, so we can prevent on data analysis of characteristic of the new hard disk models, so we can prevent problems in the future. So we ate a lot, download a lot of data from different machines like Unix machines, hundreds of them, and assembly lines. There's also a lot of machines on assembly lines and test lines, and also some test verification. There's a lot of flash involved in hard disk drives, and it generates a lot of data that we can collect and download using Visual Basic. You can do that using Visual Basic, but you also need knowledge on Telnet, because you need to connect to Unix machine. You need skills in coding also as well in Unix, like grep, awk. So you need those to extract the information that you need. So because you download logs, extract logs, and put it on your Windows machines, then you connect to an Oracle server, download the information from there, Sybase server or whatever SQL server that is used on the assembly line, okay? So download this information, put them in your machine, and then extract all this information to generate the data that you need. Okay, so you generate a lot of graphs, like XY graphs, bar graphs, the scatter graph. The histogram is very useful, so we use a lot of histogram automation and scatter diagrams to analyze information, so we can check, we can adjust characteristics. Then I also learned test schedule development, where I created script, Unix script, to test hard disk drive. Okay, those scripts you can generate what kind of testing you want to do for the hard disk drive, and then output some kind of characteristic that you can analyze later. So you know how to test your drive to make it really of good quality. Okay, so that's a lot of really coding as a failure analysis engineer, but it involves also a lot of different kind of chats that's not related to coding. So I decided to focus more on coding because I think I like coding a lot. So I think I'm really good at programming, so I applied this. Try to transition to programming more. So then I became a database analyst with another company, where I do a lot of automation, reports automation, where we have this SQL server. We extract information from that SQL server. So we have this ticketing system, which is developed in-house ticketing system. Service Test Manager is what they call it. It's used globally, where the people create the requests using this tool, and then the IT or the input team handles those tools. So this is a very sophisticated tool that handles ticketing system. Okay, handles IT requests and generates, process them. So I'm the one who generates reports for regional reports for global IT managers and engineers. So I extract those information on a daily monthly, weekly basis, and we send reports to the managers or to those who needs those reports, like workload reports, status of the reports, the monthly reports, and how each IT is doing, their performance, so we can determine them using the ticket information. Okay, so there's a lot of things there. So I use SQL, a lot of SQL, stored procedure, and also MS Access. I use first MS Access heavily. MS Access is really good. I can use Visual Basic using in MS Access and access SQL data, run stored procedure, download those files, save it as CSV or Excel, and send an email on Access. Yes, we can send email on Access. Then I use Excel to create tools that generate reports. You can use Access to exact data, send that to you via email, then get that data, and then use your Excel tool to generate the final report, which shows graphs and tables or summary. So it can be that complicated, depends on what reports you want to generate. So it can involve a lot of calculations. Example, SLA, MTTR, something like that. How do you calculate those? So the problem there is the data, the consistency of data. Sometimes data is not consistent, so it will take more codes to really generate the reports if the data is not that good, or because you need a lot of conditions. Okay, you need to clean this data. The key is cleaning this data to make sure it's really clean and good for reports, because if that data is not good, then the report is not good. So you can generate a really not good report. Another thing I do is process automation. So those cases have a status, and I can process those cases based on the information on the ticket. So we check the status of the case, we analyze the case, and then we do some actions based on that. We can read emails, post those emails on the case. We can close the case based on what information we got. We can follow up those cases, send emails. So yeah, I first do that with the CA Fast Automation. We have that tool that where I learned how to use XML, SOAP, use SOAP API, and then use JavaScript a lot. I did a lot of JavaScript coding using that CA Automation Manager. So it has a connector that connects the tickets and SQL, and it's a really good tool, but it's no longer used because it's obsolete right now. So we transition. After that, I was promoted as a software engineer, so I focus more on developing applications and web application. Okay, Windows and web applications, where we base out the CA process automation, and I created C# application. Yes, C# application to do the process automation, where it reads email, mailbox, it reads text files or CSV files, it process automation, it generates email, send email, it updates cases, tickets, update cases in the in-house tool ticketing system. It can also update tickets on our new ticketing system, because we basing out the in-house system to cloud-based ticketing system, which is Salesforce. So I've learned how to use. So the only way we can communicate to Salesforce is using SOAP API. So I've learned SOAP API. So I'm using that heavily when getting information and updating cases in Salesforce. Okay, and also I've learned. I've developed this website, which is a front end for our ticketing system. So we have two ticketing systems, and we have a front end. The reason for the front end is to make it easy for the user to submit requests. Okay, because the back end or another front end, which is the ticketing tool, and the in-house and the Salesforce are not that user friendly. It still takes a lot of time to actually create request. So we created this tool to make it really easier for the user to create requests. Make it really, so the key there, the main focus there is the user friendly, to make a tool that is user friendly for everyone. So this tool is especially non-IT persons, so those who are not really techie persons, so they need to submit case, make it easy for them. So basically they log into the system, select what they want, their information is auto-populated, add additional information what they need, and then submit. That's basically what they need to do. The less thinking, the less fast thing they need to do, the better. Okay, so we created this front end, we call it a ticketed front end. So it's like, it has a service catalog in it, it has a lot of things in there. So because it is a front end and it has to be user friendly, I was forced, I need to use Bootstrap because it has to be mobile friendly as well. So you can use mobile. It will be a chest mobile and any screen. So that's Bootstrap. So I use Bootstrap heavily on that application. Yeah, of course, Bootstrap is not enough. You also need to use CSS and JavaScript. Okay, these are case you need them and together. JavaScript you also need to learn JSON, yeah, and Ajax. Sorry, so you can process user request because it has to be dynamic. It has to respond to what the user needs. So those are key technologies that I've used on the front end side, and we deploy this tool on Azure Server. It used to be on Windows Server, then we transitioned to Azure Server to make it a lot secure. Today they want this modern authentication, so I have to learn Microsoft Identity, and I changed our login from ADA or LDAP login to Microsoft Identity and OpenID Connect and O2. Okay, so we just transition to that, and when you log into the website, it pops up the ADFS, Active Directory Federation, and you log in using ADFS, and then it redirects your URL, and you can get the identity of the user from that. Okay, so it's a bit complicated, but yeah, that's the trend right now. So it's the modern authentication connects to Azure to get your data from Azure server. So it's very secure. So there's a lot of attacks to companies nowadays that they need to really make everything secure. Okay, and if you use Azure, it's a lot secure. Okay, this Azure is another technology that's really good, and it's a cloud-based technology. So everything is now going to cloud. Okay, so as I'm discussing, as you can see, our ticketing tool is now Salesforce, is cloud-based. Now our authentication is Salesforce, is cloud-based. Our web app is now deployed in Azure. So everything is going to Azure. Even our Office 365 is another one, which is Azure. So technologies are moving to the cloud. So that means you need to learn coding, cloud-based coding. Okay, so that's where it's moving. Little by little, I was also able to learn a lot of that. Okay, but on the back end, I have this C# application that processes a lot of data that I mentioned. The magic happens in the back end, actually. There's magic in the front end, but to make it easy for the user, you need to have a lot of automation happening on the back end. Okay, like processing data. So users don't need to think when they use your tool. So you pre-process them ahead of time. Okay, save them on the table, then feed that to the application that the user is using. So they don't need to do a lot of stuff. Okay, Then I've used the SSIS, so Skill Server Integration Services, to we have this HR system integrates it. I've integrated it to our front end system, and then the front end system integrated it to our Salesforce system, so that it's very seamless. There's a lot of data manipulation, and then the integration happens every hour, every day, every 4 hour. So because the data needs to be up to date all the time, because there are, in our company there's a lot of employees, 60,000 employees. Sometimes a lot of them resign, sometimes a lot of them get hired. So a lot of changes happens every day, okay, for this really large company. So everything needs to happen seamlessly. So SSIS is a good tool for that, for the integration, and I was able to do that with less coding, because I was able to take advantage of my skills in SQL. And the more skills you have or experience you have in SQL, the better you can use it. I was able to use views, stored procedures to do that integration without so much coding. So I'm really happy about that. I don't need to code a lot to integrate these databases. I just do the a lot. Maybe 90% of these are just SQL. Okay, SQL technologies. Okay, so if you learn SQL, it's a really good advantage. So my core skill really is SQL, data analysis and manipulation, automation, using C# and Visual Basic for application. Now I'm getting better with Bootstrap, JavaScript, C#, jQuery, all of those stuff. Then the next thing I need to learn, I guess, is non-Microsoft only, like Java, Ruby, and this JavaScript framework like Angular, way up. And also API. API is another thing that really you need to learn, like, with the advent of this. We are moving towards microservices, okay, and microservices use a lot of APIs. So I'm actually utilizing a lot of APIs already, like REST API, SOAP API. So on our front end, I've created an API and using MVC C# where chatbots can use to create requests. So you don't need to log into my app. You just need the API endpoint, send data, and it will process those information, just how you do it when you log into the front end or to my website that I created, to the website that I created. So that's it. So there's a lot of things that happens. Took me a lot more than 20 minutes to discuss that. There's a lot more, but I think that's enough for you to know my background in software engineering. I hope you get some insight of what you like to do and what things you need to experience or develop or learn to become a really good software engineer. So yeah, I think the key really is to keep on moving, keep on learning, code at least every day, or maybe at least 5 days a week. So take a vacation for 2 days, relax. You need time to relax, really. Don't burn out yourself. Don't just invest some time, maybe 2 hours a day. It's a good start. 3 to 8, if you really want to become really good in programming, you have to make it at least 8 hours a day. But don't do coding all the time. You have to do other stuff. You need to have a work-life balance. You have to relax sometimes. That helps, because you still need to absorb those information. If you overwater yourself, overlearn, you may not be able to process that information, and you can get tired and get sick and burn out. Okay, you avoid that. Try to learn as much as you learn, but not too much. Learn something new every day. That's good strategy. But learn to relax also, and take time out and do something else that you enjoy, like play games or take a vacation, right? But you have to be consistent. At least try to learn coding at least 2 hours a day. Learn something new. Practice. Experience is the best. The more experience, the better you become. Okay. It's not enough that you just read or watch YouTube. You need to really try to code it and try it and experience it. That's how you learn. How you become a really good software engineer. Well, I hope that's all for today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you give it a like and subscribe and watch my future videos. I will try to give more free stuff. Okay, a lot of free knowledge that I've learned. Okay, I'll share that to you in the future if I have the time. Okay, I'm so busy, but sometimes I find time like now, and I can do some vlogs and share my knowledge. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck.